Hey there, this is Dr. Pam Perry and another Pam Perry's Picks. And I'm excited. This is International Women's History Month. Or not international, but just Women's History Month. And we have a cloud of women that we're going to be talking to today. A cloud of women through this book and actually here on the live itself. So we're on Amazon Live and we're streaming on YouTube and we're streaming on Twitter. We're actually streaming on Twitter as well. So you'll see all of us in different places. But the main thing is that what we're going to have right now is we're going to have Reverend Dr. Georgia A. Hill. I want to give her her formal intro here, and then Diane Proctor Reeder as well. Georgia is a pastor of Life Church Riverside in Detroit. And then Diane is an editor, a playwright. I'll talk a little bit about it, and the owner of Written Image. The book came out earlier this year and is published by Our Daily Bread Publishing, which is a really big deal. Everybody has probably heard of Our Daily Bread, the little devotional that you have all the time, that we read, and I've read probably at least 30 years. I wouldn't say 20 years. And then I was like, no, probably longer than that, probably about 30 years, because it's been around for a long time. Our Daily Bread is actually located in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where we are. We're in Detroit. So I also want to say happy 313. Today is Detroit 313 Day, 313 on March. So right after this, I'm going to bring up our two co-authors.
Hey yo, kick back, relax, let's dive in the page. Pam Perry Picks got the books for your brain. From fiction to non-fiction, all genres insane. We coming through showing love with a lit game. Greatest stories ever told, gotta find your pick. Imagination running wild, ain't nothing slick. Get lost in the pages, let your mind drift. Pam Perry Picks got your brain in the bookshelf vibe. Turning the pages with pride. Pam Perry Picks got the words by your side. Bookshelf vibe, turning pages with pride. Pam Perry Picks got the words by your side. From the classics to new, we got the books for you. Get your mind right, let the knowledge accrue. Bookshelf vibe, expanding horizons wide. Pam Perry Picks keeping readers satisfied. Books up high, knowledge we can't deny. Get your reading on, your book one fly. Click cover image.
Hey, did you see that last book was Jamel Hill, right, from Detroit? Happy 313 Day, Jamel Hill. So with that, I'm bringing up our guest. I'm bringing up Georgia as well. Hey there, ready or not, here we come. So welcome, ladies, welcome. So congratulations on the book, A Cloud of Women. And the subtitle is A Powerful Connection Between Black Women and Women of the Bible. And so I just kind of got this in the mail the other day, and I'm like, this is some serious stuff in here, in terms of the background of it. But I want to say, I went to the back, Georgia, and I want to give a shout out to a couple of people that you gave a shout out to. Janet Hill. All right. And then also my friend Ellen Hill, which happened to be your sister. So I just want to say that I love all of them. All the Hill girls are just doing fabulous things. All of you. So Janet
Amen.
was in New York doing publishing things. And then Ellen was at the Tigers and the marketing guru of, all of that thing. And then you obviously with being a pastor and all that kind of thing. And then Diane Written Images is probably celebrating
Let's
25
see.
years.
It's 40 years this year, believe it or not.
No.
1984 Written
Oh,
Images was founded.
oh my God. Written Images is 40 years old. So this is the thing that you do. This is when people are in their purpose. So you've been in the purpose, doing editing, doing the publishing, and we actually had a business, you, me, and Rebecca years ago.
Get the book out.
Get the book out. We were telling people, get the book out. That was about 20 years ago. Like, get the book out. And Diane was in her lane doing the editing, all of that. She can edit a dollar bill. She can find errors on the dollar bill. Okay. She can figure that out. But I want to say that this book, A Cloud of Women, where did it come from? And I know that we want to talk a little bit about the play. So give us that. And then, Georgia, I want you to tell us how you came to collaborate with Diane.
So it came, and thank you so much, Pam, for having us both on your program. We love you dearly. As you know, we've known each other a long time. But A Cloud of Women came from a small little playlet, I would call, that I was invited to do at my old church, Mount Lebanon, Strathmore in Detroit. When I moved to Plymouth in the year 2000, I joined Plymouth United Church in Detroit with Reverend Nicholas Hood III. And believe it or not, Reverend Dr. Georgia, invited me to expand the play. She said, "Oh, I like this. Let's add some more characters." So we did the play at a Plymouth women's retreat. From there, Reverend Nick invited us to do it for a Sunday service. It actually replaced the sermon. That was really exciting. And from there, churches started asking for it. One of the women in the play did it at Marygrove College, and then it's gone all over the Midwest. And then when I started working for Our Daily Bread as an editor, the head of their African American collection Voices, Joyce Dinkins, invited me to do a book proposal. And that's when I asked my longtime friend and collaborator and partner in crime, good trouble, Reverend Dr. Georgia Hill, to join me in this endeavor. So, Georgia, you could take it from there.
Oh my God, that is amazing. So it started as a seed and then it went there. I just like how God just kind of orchestrated each step, because you could have left one church and went to another church, but you went to Plymouth United where Georgia was there, and then it grew from there. And it just like you said, it was at Marygrove and that kind of thing. Georgia, explained a cloud of women for those that aren't familiar with that Bible scripture.
So the scripture really talks about a cloud of witnesses, right? In the book, it talks about how we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses. And because of that, we're able to run the race of faith with endurance and patience. And
So the witnesses
Diane,
are like our ancestors in a way, or people who have gone on before us, have passed on. So that's like the witnesses. Yes. So like I could say, like my mom is in a cloud of witnesses. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. People who have faith, who've gone on before us. And so John, that idea, and it became a play, and we gave life to the biblical characters. But in this book, what we've done is we've actually linked the stories of biblical characters to the stories of Black women that you and I know, and some of whom you and I do not know, because they are, as the phrase goes, hidden figures. But women did wonderful things, and their faith was the fuel. Their faith was fire that kept them going through trial and tribulation, loss. And we married their stories with the stories of women in the Bible. And that's what to say, a cloud of women, the connection, the powerful connection between Black women and women of the Bible.
So Diane, so some of the women, give us just like a little bit of some of the snippets, I guess you would say. But let me read the intro of what was in the Author Insider today. Okay, so this is one of the main things I just want to read. Just obviously I want everybody to get the book, but this part right here talks about bridging errors and empowering faith, a cloud of women, a powerful connection between Black women and women in the Bible. And then really it just talks about amidst the narratives and the strength and the struggle and faith that has shaped the history, the collaborative genius between George and Diane really shines a unique lens through the view intertwine the destinies of Black women and the biblical women. So this really is like a bridge across time, drawing a line between the enduring spirits of women from ancient scripture and those walking the path of faith today. So the work highlights and shares experiences across centuries, but also celebrates the profound connection of the rooted resilience, courage, unwavering belief, and the power of faith. So you talk about the different women, obviously the women from the Bible, but talk about some of the women that are spotlighted or highlighted in the book, and why you picked them.
Sure. So just one small example as a teaser. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s mother is in the book. And what's significant about her, we actually compare her, as well as the mothers of James Baldwin and Malcolm X, to Mary, the mother of Jesus. After all, they are the mothers of world-changing men who were abused and oppressed by the system, two of whom were arguably killed by the system, and men who were for their people. And so that's just one small example. We have
Okay.
about 10 examples in the book, but
Wow.
just to tease it, that's one, I think, very good example.
I like that. I like that. So when you were, because you wrote the
Oh, and,
plays.
and, and I should add this, they were all women of faith. And that's
Yes.
what we really emphasize, that these were women who believed in God, who
Hmm.
passed that sense of spirituality to their children.
Wow, that is good. I like that comparison there. So there's another woman in the Bible, Georgia, um that is written about in the book. And then talk about the women, why you all had to do a lot of research. So I know you are researchers. So why did you pick, say for instance, just speaking truth to power, that particular one, why you picked particular one for that one? So Queen Esther is like one of the women that we that you talk about. And then talk about the other correlating characters, I guess you would say, that you made the comparison or you wrote about, Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman.
Well, Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman, for some of you who may recall, recently gave testimony before the January 6th hearings before the Senate. They gave testimony because they had been falsely accused, and we can say that definitively now because in a trial on this issue, they've been falsely accused by members of the Republican Party, high-ranking officials in the Republican Party, who claimed that they were committing voter fraud and that they were trying to steal Republican
Mhm.
votes and try to alter the outcome of the election as they were election workers in the state of Georgia. Well, as they were being accused of this, Dr. Pam, as they were being accused of this, they experienced tremendous attack and oppression. They were chased, they were hunted, they were
Mhm.
called names, they were fearful of their lives. And so they actually made statements saying they didn't want anyone to know their names.
Kind of like Queen Esther, making the comparison. Yeah.
Mother and daughter team, right? And so they're compared to Queen Esther, who had hidden as the Queen of Persia. She's the Queen of Persia, but she hid her Jewish identity. But when the Jews were possibly going to be exterminated, when the plan was set that they would be exterminated, her uncle said, "Look, you're going to have to go to the king on behalf of the people." And so Queen Esther had to risk her own personal safety and her own identity to go to the king and say, "Listen, my people are being exterminated. You've got to set them free." And so it was
Mhm.
wonderful to see Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, to see them in front of that gaggle of photographers. All the cameras, all the lights were on them in those January 6th hearings, but they were willing at that point to let everyone know who they were so they could speak out and speak truth to power. So
Oh, I
that's
love that.
persons.
Oh my God. Now this, you guys had to do a lot of research for this. This is a recent book, so it just came out. I mean, a lot of these things are really current because I think, I want to say Martin Luther King's just recently passed. His
His,
mother,
his brother, his
his
brother,
his brother recently.
Dexter.
Right. Yeah. So it was just like a lot of different things that are just current. The thing, how long did it take for you all to put this together? How long did you all work on it? Because I could see the bibliography itself. I said that's a whole thing in by itself. So how long did it take?
I want to say about 8 months, eight to
I figure
nine
it's
months.
about a year.
Mm-hmm.
I figure it was about a year. Oh my God. Was there any points where you're saying, okay, we have this one character, but we want to use these people? Did you have some toss-ups of different ones that it's like, okay, so say for instance, I want to do the tale of two Tamars, right? So you got Tamar, and then you have Dr. Renita Weems, and then Betty Jean Owens. So I know Dr. Renita Weems, but kind of give up, because you talk about it in the book. So kind of give us a little bit about Renita Weems, because I love her, and then
Yes.
Betty Jean Owens, who I'm not familiar with at all, but Tamar, obviously, I am. So were there ever times it's like, you know what, we're gonna use that one, but we want to compare it to this one? Did you all have any heated discussions?
I wouldn't say we had heated discussions. Georgia and I pretty much think along the same lines. And so we almost, at sometimes we have literally almost finished each other's sentences.
Oh my
So
God.
that's kind of
That
how
is a
we
great
vibe.
collaboration. Yeah, yeah.
And so Betty Jean Owens was a woman who was raped many, many decades ago. at the beginning or even before the civil rights movement became
Okay.
what we know it as. And as you know, Rosa Parks, who was, of course, the iconic civil rights activist, was actually investigating rapes in the South at the time. And so
Oh,
she
okay.
was a woman who was raped. And so the story of the two Tamars actually contrasts one woman, Tamar, in the Old Testament, in the book of Genesis, who pretended to be a prostitute in order to carry her family line because one of the patriarchs, Judah, would not give her another of his sons to marry because she had no children. And then the Tamar, the second Tamar, is the one who was the half sister of David, King David, who was raped by their half brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so just contrasting those two stories, a woman who used her power and a woman
Mm-hmm.
who was unable to use her power due to force and violence. And then looking at Renita Weems, who writes so eloquently of
Yeah.
violence against women in her book, Battered Love. And so kind
Mm-hmm.
of weaving all of those stories together and comparing the two.
Oh my God, I love that. I think is Renita still at Vanderbilt, I believe
I
it
believe
is.
she is.
Yeah,
Reverend George,
yeah.
you know, I believe she is.
Oh
You know,
my
I'm
God.
not really sure.
Yeah. Now there's poetry in here as well. The poetry is part of the play, or was that part of how did you so I always love books that put poetry in it. Like Michelle McKinney Hammond does that as well. Michelle does that because she's a songwriter. And so she just hears, she hears songs. So she'll start doing a narrative of nonfiction book, and then all of a sudden there's a poem. So how did the poems fit in? Or did you hear it kind of like Michelle says, I just heard it and that's where it should go. So tell us how
So the
they
poems, yep, the poems actually come from my play.
okay.
And so we try to begin each chapter with the relevant line from the relevant character in the play.
Ah, okay. All right. All right. And so the play basically then is
The
something that
play is a series of monologues of women from the Old and New Testament who tell their stories. It's almost like a choreo poem because we did do some dance to it and some
Mhm,
movement.
mhm.
And so I cut my shorthand description is sort of like a biblical for color.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and it kinda it even had, like, the colors and things like that, or the different costumes and that kinda thing for Color Girls. That was Natasha Shane, probably what, 70s? I can't think.
1975, because I went to see it at Fisher Theater in
Yes.
75.
Yes, so I figure it was in the 70s. That is so true. So, some of the things too, you write about Marion Wright Edelman, I'm just kinda giving a little bit, but the thing of it is that you want people to feel after reading this book, what are some of the main takeaways that you really want them to have? Is it you want like book clubs to discuss it? You want it to be in like a Sunday school lesson? What do you see the book kind of like moving towards?
The answer to that is yes. You are thinking that
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, go
There you
ahead.
go.
Okay. Can't hear you.
She's
Can't
saying
hear
so
you.
now we can't hear you.
Can't hear you. So I think what Reverend George is saying while she gets her sound back on, there, no. I think what she was going to say is all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to do everything. We would love to have it as a Sunday school or Bible study series in book clubs.
Yes.
The point is, we want women and all people, but women in particular, to think more deeply about their faith and
Mhm.
bring these biblical women who are so obscure and who are not talked about much into the public discussion so that
Yeah.
we can imagine them as real human beings, full human
Mhm.
beings with feelings and emotions, personalities, struggles that we can
Mhm.
relate to ourselves.
Mhm. If there were, the chapter 2, it talks about women's voices rising. This is probably the one I'll probably read first because I read books differently. I read the back and
Mm.
I read the front and but Deborah is like one of my favorite women in the Bible, right? Deborah, whatever, some people call it different. And then you talk about Fannie Lou Hamer, which I love, and then the black female judges today.
Yeah.
which is a whole nother thing. So if there was something that I was going to really talk about, that would be the one, because it talks about women have it's strong women, this strong Black women. And
Warrior
so
women, powerful
yes,
women.
warrior
Yes.
women. Georgia, can we hear you now? Oh no, we can't hear you. Okay, did you hit the mute button by accident? Want to make sure that you didn't hit the mute button. I don't know what is going on. Unmute, unmute. It's not muted. So Diane, you're gonna have to carry this a little bit until Georgia gets her sound back. So one of the things too, if you said it's gonna be a Bible study in Sunday school or that kind of thing, is there a compatible workbook that's
It's
coming up,
in
or
the works.
okay?
As we speak, it's in the works. Promise.
I said, because even with there was a years ago, there was Glory Girls, which was Walkworthy Press. Walkworthy Press was a
Mm,
publisher with Denise Stinson, and she had Glory Girls Book Club. And so all of the books came that she would produce, they had like questions in the back or discussion questions in the back and that sort of thing. So she would actually put it in the book. So the Glory Girl Book Club was a Black women's Christian book club that Denise had started with, really starting with her books, the Walkworthy books, to get people to understand it. And so the main thing too is that people can read the book, but you want everybody all on the same page. So they need a guide. That's really it, just
yeah,
a guide
yeah.
to go through that. So that's in the works as well. So that is good. So I'm gonna make sure. Um, so that right there. So anyway, so there you go. Maybe that helped. Does that help? No. Okay, Georgia. So I don't know. I don't tech doesn't want us to be great today. So we're gonna try and figure that out. Uh the other thing I want to say too is that the women that you mentioned in the book as well, because I talked about how Georgia talked about hers, but who did you mention in the book in terms of your acknowledgments?
Oh, first and foremost, my mother,
Mm-hmm,
Valerie
mm-hmm.
Francis Proctor, who taught me without the love of books, the richest man is poor, and who also said to me many, many times over, Diane, all you have to do is two things: love God and keep his commandments. Everything else falls into place.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the wonderful women along the way in terms of development of the play, including Reverend Georgia, but also Sister Mary White at my first church, Mount Lebanon, Strathmore, who invited me to do something like this and gave me complete and total freedom. Leslie Love, who directed the play at Marygrove College, Sandra Hines, who also directed, the late Sandra Hines, who was a great writer and director.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the wonderful late Manetta Hare, who just
Yes,
celebrated her passing this
yes.
year, who
I
actually
still
came to
can't
me
believe
one
that.
day and said, Diane, the Lord told me to underwrite your play. And she wrote the
Wow.
check for the second time we did it at Marygrove College.
Oh my
So there are
God.
just so
I
many. And of
I
course,
did not
all the
know
wonderful
that.
women who acted in the play, who were
Y
amazing,
yes.
including Georgia, who was in my second play. That's a whole other story. But she vamped that role up quite well.
Oh my God.
We can't,
I
we can't
can't
hear
hear
you.
we can't hear you. Oh my goodness. So we can see you. So we can see you. But that is one of the things. There's one of the things that I'd like about the book is that it is a collaborative. And there's a conference that we used to all go to years ago. I haven't been lately, but with United Conference for Women. I could see this being like a discussion at that as well. United
Well,
Conference for
guess
Women.
what? I'm
Okay.
on the board of the United Conference for
What?
Women.
Oh
There
my
has been
God.
there has
Yes.
been a change in generational leadership, and I'm very proud to be on the board. We're celebrating 48th annual conference this year. We will celebrate 50 years in 2026, but we're very excited. In fact, it's let's see, it's UCFW.com, which stands for United Conference for Women, UCFW.com, and you'll see a way to register and get more information on it. And of course, our book website, which is still in development, but we've launched it, is acloudofwomen.com as
Oh,
well.
okay.
But
Okay.
yes, we're very excited. We just had our first in-person conference post-COVID last year at Central Baptist, and we're
You
going to
said
be in Toledo.
UCF.com?
I'm sorry,
UCF?
UCFW.com. And we will be back in full mode this year in October 18th to 20th in Toledo.
Okay.
So
Oh,
that's just
good.
a little
I
plug.
just want to say
And the
that
book will be there.
yes, I would love to be there. I would love to actually take my mother-in-law because we went to that probably maybe 20 years or so ago, and she's 93. And she would love to go. So
Right.
Toledo's not too far, so we could actually drive, right? So we could actually drive,
Absolutely.
and that would be so cool because I just remember hundreds and hundreds of women being at that conference, and it was so nourishing and so uh just the sisterhood and that kind of thing. It was just one of the first women conferences that I'd ever gone to where outside of not just my church, but just meeting other women from other denominations
Yeah.
and just from all over. So that is good. So they can go to ucfw.com, but they can also go to acloudofwomen.com, which is in the process
Yeah.
as well. Okay, good, good,
Absolutely.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
both
that's
sides.
it. And I just love the way the book cover. I want to mention a little bit about the look of the feel of it. Susan St. James, I believe, and
Yeah.
has that
Yeah.
kind of a feel to it. Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
It
So
does.
anybody,
It does.
yes. So anybody who knows art, it's just kind of like it gives you that familiar black woman.
Oh,
Uh,
we loved it. They
yes,
showed us that first, and we said, "Don't do another thing. That's it."
this is it. This is it. I just love that, and it's like the way that they always say we don't judge a book by its cover. Yes, we do. We do. If the cover ain't good, we're not gonna read it.
That's
So
right.
this I want to say bravo to them as well. This is a good job. So Reverend Dr. Georgia Hill, I can you say one more? Okay, she doesn't know what happened. So we started earlier. We were on the laptop, then we moved to the phone, then we moved from Chrome to Firefox. So we did all the things that we can, but we had it in here for a minute. So we had her in there for a minute. So that's like the most important thing. Also, too, you're an author insider as well. So your information is there. You can reach cloudofwomen.com for both of them, but also too for Diane, if you're interested in just getting a really really good editor. I would just say that's like the main thing is writtenimages.com. It's
Dot
writtenimages.com.
co. Writtenimages.co is my
Okay,
business
okay,
website.
that's the okay, so we're gonna make sure that we do that writtenimages.co. And then Georgia definitely is on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all that kind of thing, but definitely her church.
Yeah, Life
um
Church, Riverside, Detroit.
yes, 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 so that's one of the
Put
things.
that in
So
Facebook, you'll get to it.
written
Live
images.
stream services and prayer services in the mornings. You'll see a lot there.
Good, good. Yeah, so I want to make sure that everybody had that and save that there, and they can go to writtenimages.co. All right, that's it. .co, not com, .co. So
Okay.
that's the main thing. So thank you all so much for joining me today. This has been really a delight. The article, the Amazon Live, and making sure that when you do have the workbook and that kind of thing, you're getting out to different churches. Obviously, you'll be taking invitations to speak and that kind of thing. And are you doing any like there's a bookstore. I want to say Schuler Bookstore. There's a Christian bookstore that's in our area. Will you be there soon or?
We have not reached out to them yet, but thank you for the tip, and
Yes,
we'll
yes,
do that. We were at
yes.
Source just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I love Source.
So
Source is a
Source
great black
Booksellers on
bookstore.
Cass in
Mhm.
Detroit, wonderful, amazing store. Uh,
Yes, yes. Yes, so that is it. But Schuler is a Christian bookstore that is right on Orchard Lake Road, I believe. So make sure that when you're there, please let us know as well. And so cloudofwomen.com, all your itinerary will be there, and for people to contact you as well so they can actually do all of the things and get connected. But this is a great book. I applaud you. This is so good. And it's just like one of those things where it's like God thing, right? It's just kind of like you could just kind of see the hand of God on it. So I can't wait for where it's going to be next, right? Like we don't know. We don't know. So thank you so much, Georgia. Thank you so much, Diane,
thank
for
you.
joining us today for Pam Perry's Picks. This is the book. It's perfect time to talk about it. Women's History Month. This is the epitome of it right here. This is the
Thank you
epitome
so
of it.
much on behalf of myself and Reverend Georgia.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Okay, take
Thank
care.
you. So this is the book, and you can get it right here on Amazon Live. It is, in real time. Okay, so you can make sure that you do that, and then also to make sure that you could go to any bookstore and pick it up as well. So I'm excited for them because I know this book is it. I just got it the other day. I haven't read it, but just scanning through it, it's really, really, really good. I mean, Diane doesn't play. Okay, when I tell you she doesn't play, and neither does Reverend Georgia. This book is the book that you need, and it really is kind of like the book too that you can get and actually share it with other women as well. It's a part, a little bit of history, a little bit of uh, women's history, Black history. So you know, like she said, sometimes it has those hidden heroes in there. So you want to make sure that you do that, and you know, just really just kind of like support. I like they supported the Black bookstore, so you want to support Black authors as well. And that's really, really the key. I talk about that all the time. Chocolate pages, right, Diane? So anyway, thank you guys for joining us today at Pam Perry's Picks. All right, take care. Bye-bye.